Happy New Year! Happy New Year, everybody, from the Chateau farm. What a busy year it's going to be. So let's take you through what we think we're going to be up to. Okay. So despite the fact that it is just the beginning of January, the season really starts in earnest now. I hope you can see me under all these layers. It's about 3 degrees this morning, 4 degrees. The wind chill is about minus 1, so it's a little bit chilly, but I'm in the potting shed, and what we're doing now is some of the broccoli that I sowed back in December. It's one of the first seeds of the new season, if you like. Our season for us, the new growing season when we're sowing never really stops. There's kind of like beginning of December, maybe 3 weeks, end of November, beginning of December, maybe 3 weeks, I don't sow anything. It ends, I would say, the sowing ends with garlic and broad beans, and then literally starts again with cold crops the middle of December, and aubergines and peppers, and we'll show you those in a minute. But here's the broccoli. So this is the broccoli, and at this time of year, this has actually been propagated in just a tiny bit of warmth, not much, but just a propagator that's just got a little bit of ambient heat. So the seeds have come up really nicely, and we're going to get these into these pots, which is called potting on, get those in here. And we've got some broccoli in the polytunnel that is ready to go in, and we'll show you that now. So it's really easy with the broccoli seed. When it's like this, we've just used an old ice cream tub, and hopefully with Stella's milk really in now, we're not going to be buying ice cream for much longer. So that's what you end up with, a nice little seedling like this, and then that just goes in, as you've seen me do before, into one of these tubs. Can't actually see what I'm filming, guys, so you put it into one of these tubs like this, just put a bit of soil around it, and then that's it. That's your broccoli seedling, and that's what will grow on. So there we have it. Easy peasy broccoli. There's 36 there, percent loss maybe overall, it's a bit much, but over 30 plants will go into the ground in a few weeks' time. What we're looking for is just to get a nice, big, strong plant that's not going to get attacked by slugs or anything. And we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to take these into the seedling polytunnel now, the propagation tunnel, and we'll show you the broccoli that we overwintered. So here's some of the overwintered broccoli. Some of it's looking a little bit bedraggled. It's had some snail damage, which was in here, and even a bit of mice damage. These will all bounce back. Some of the leaves that died over winter when there wasn't enough light have come off. But these will be going in the ground in about a week or so. We'll start hardening them off. The health of them should bounce back in about, because what they do is in winter, when you overwinter something, you're basically keeping it in suspension. So it doesn't actually really grow broccoli. Some plants do. There's a couple, a few vegetable varieties and plants that do grow over winter. Very slowly. Lettuce is one of them, spinach is another. But they grow extremely slowly, and that is not really down to the heat. These are cold tolerant crops in the main. Broccoli is more cold tolerant than cauliflower, but what happens is it's the light levels. In December 21st, we've just passed the winter solstice, so that was a couple of weeks ago, and gradually, slowly the light levels will increase. So over the next week or so, you can see this one here. This one's actually been at the front. That is a nice, healthy looking broccoli plant. Yes, the first seed leaves over winter, you can see, were chewed off a little bit. But overall, that is a nice, healthy transplant. So we're going to wait until this cold spell has passed in the next few days, and we're going to get them out and harden them off, which it just basically involves bringing them outside, putting them outside in the polytunnel putting them outside of the polytunnel in the day, just so they don't get that huge shock, because they've been in here all winter. And then when we've done that for a few weeks or so, usually depending on the weather, 3 to 7 days of doing that, and then you can get them planted in the ground, covered with the mesh net to keep the majority of the pests off. Although we have had some rabbits sneaking under the nets. And then that should be our first batch of broccoli in about, I don't know, usually 75 to 90 days for broccoli once it's transplanted, depending on the variety. But because the light levels are a little bit low, I think 90 days. So I think we'll be looking at beginning of April for this first batch of broccoli. And that will just be, depending on what's going on, for our first baskets. And then the second broccoli will be here. So these are the transplants. I've got another half tray to come in. And then these will probably be out transplanted in about 3 weeks time. So they'll be 3 weeks behind the first lot. So I think really we're looking at the first baskets round about the end of April, I think, for our first season here of doing this properly commercially. But on a really, really small scale, we'll be looking at probably 7 families to start off with. Because we've got so much going on here. All the infrastructure to put in more beds, and we're still got a lot of renovation to finish off in the next 6 months inside. So we'll talk to you more about that plan over the next few videos because I don't want to bog you down with it all. But that's for the opening of the restaurants, and that is likely to be now the beginning of September. We've pushed that back from the end of May. Mainly because it was easy for us to earn a big chunk of money by taking bookings for 5 weeks over the summer for the gîte, which is not a separate gîte, it's renting out the entire chateau, and that'll allow us to get the infrastructure finished, more beds made, carry on planting, etc. outside, and also just focus on one season of growing for the restaurant. So we'll talk about more about that in the next sort of few episodes. Regarding the episodes, going to be looking to go for 2 a week now on this channel. There's so much going on. I'm sure you'd like to see what's going on, but keeping the episodes a little bit shorter. So let's get on with something else. So back in the potting shed now, we're going to just complete the cycle. And now we've put on the previous broccoli. Every week we are going to be sowing broccoli now up until around about the end of March. That should give us broccoli into June. And then after that, it is just way too hot. It's probably too hot in June. Those last couple of successions of broccoli for us, we'll have to see if we can get the transplants nice and healthy and put in. They should do fine. But you would not be wanting to transplant broccoli in June here. It's just way too hot, and those small plants will bolt before they even form heads. Instead of one tray of 30 to 40 seeds, we're now going to double this up and have the 2, and then that'll increase to 3, and then till we're actually then going to be using these trays here, which are 100 cells each. And when we go into these, it's quicker to sow directly into the cells, but this way I can get some heat on them and I can get them in. Basically load the propagator with lots of seeds, hundreds of different seeds. So it's a bit of an extra stage, but it means that I get that germination, and then when they are potted on, we've got quite a few number of successful plants, hopefully. So one of the things that we do first when we're sowing in trays like this is we just give them a quick water. They've actually got holes in the bottom of these trays here that have just simply been made by scissors. It's all very, very low tech here at the moment, and hopefully will grow to more efficiency and more high tech as we go. But for now, at the start of the season, so we can get these things into the propagators, that's what we're doing. We water first, and the reason that we water first is these seeds are extremely tiny, and you're going to place them and you're going to spread them out. If you then put water in afterwards, they're just going to slosh all over. So we just leave those for a minute or two, just so that the water is draining out, which it is. Make sure of that. So you don't want your seeds waterlogged, particularly in cold weather. If you've ever sown seeds and then they've got like this green sort of stuff on the top of your soil, that's because they've suffering from dampening off. The seed can really die or just not germinate at all when you have that happen, and it's just down to your soil not draining and being too wet. So this is about right now. Get the seeds in, and then you just sprinkle them over the top with the soil. That's how tiny the seeds are, and they are all spread out now all over the soil. Just cover those with a bit of soil and then they should come up. They come up, broccoli seeds come up, as long as you've got that gentle heat in these kind of temperatures, which is really cold. Broccoli will come up really, really fast within 3 days, really, if you've got nice fresh seeds. So we've got the broccoli there, broccoli here. Just put these few seeds in and then we'll be good to go. So one of the things I do when I'm covering the seed with very small seeds like that is I actually sieve the compost with a garden sieve, which is here. And you can see that they're the big chunks that are left in. These actually don't get wasted because what happens with these is we take it over and it actually goes into here. So this rudimentary system going where this is my potting on compost. So for seeds that are going into, seedlings that are going into pots like these, you've already got a plant that can take clumps of compost, if you like. So this is compost here that we've actually made ourselves in our chicken compost system, where the chickens are. And that's what I use for potting on compost. But then here, at the moment, I'm still using seed starting compost and organic seed starting compost from our local garden centre. Mainly because I just haven't had the time to produce enough compost for seed starting. And that has different types of nutrients in here. But this one here with the chicken manure for when seeds are actually getting going, that's really, really good. When seeds are actually turning into plants, whereas for seed starting you need a little bit different medium. So I'm hoping over certainly by the end of this season that I'll be producing our own seed compost, but for now that's what happens with the excess seed compost that we don't use after sieving goes into here, and nothing gets wasted. And then the seed compost, this is where I sow the seeds on this bench here, and then I'll just come out a bit. So that's where I sow the seeds, on that bench there. And then here is where I do the potting on. And so we have a bin full of seed compost here. And that's just a simple system that I've got going. This area here will change. This is the potting shed at the moment, and it's actually going to change in the future to be a second room for the farm shop. So at the moment, we had plans, we were going to put all shelves in here and all that sort of thing. But at the moment, there's just no point because it's the tiny room next door, which I'm going to show you, which is actually going to be the seed starting area. So in here, so this will then be the seed potting shed. There's a lot of stuff in here. Don't actually need a lot of room. It's mainly just this run down this side that I use. What I do need is I need space to store all my seed trays and pots and things like that, and that can go in the barn, which is next door to the room I've just showed you. So this is what I mean by all this infrastructure and everything to get sorted. But it's only by doing it, doing the job, knowing what your needs are, knowing what the future plans are, so knowing what space you need from your buildings, from your farm buildings. Some people actually commented and said, oh, I thought you would set up a restaurant in your farm buildings. Well, yeah, I understand and I get that, but we actually need those for the farm at the moment. The barn that is next to the area that I've just shown you, which will become the potting shed, that might become a cafe in the future in a couple of years' time. But we're just going to have to see how things go. Most of our animals are outdoor animals, even the animals that we're going to get on the farm in the future. So we don't need a huge amount of space indoor for animals. We have the chicken shed, of course, for them to be in overnight. So it's all evolving and will evolve over the next couple of years. But I'll show you things as we go along. You want your tea that you're on, Julian? I don't know. I think he's just bouncing them all over. It's okay. It's okay. So we've just milked this morning and look what we got, 2 litres of lovely milk. It's not a lot, but it's only day 4 and we're milking her 3 times a day, and Buddy had just had a nice long feed as well. So Buddy probably took at least another litre. That tends to be what calves do at this age. So really happy with that, and this is free milking in the pasture. So no chain on her, no stanchion, just free milking in the pasture. We're going to build a mobile stanchion, and so she moves about a bit, takes the 2 of us to milk, and when we're a bit more practiced, we'll show you what we're doing. But right now, it needs to remain as stress-free as possible.
Thank you for watching the Chateau farm. We hope you're having a good start to the new year. As said in the video, we are going to try and bring you 2 shorter videos a week now on Tuesdays and Fridays. If you'd like to catch up with us daily, we are on our social media pages on Facebook and Instagram, The Chateau Farm. See you soon.